Hello, Jeff Legends. Welcome back into the Master Jeff kitchen. Just going to turn our sound down here. How's everyone doing today? We have a Jeff Ed session. We're looking at some healthy lunches, so we're going to have a little chat through it all, and then I'm going to go through some lovely rice wrapper lunch ideas to hopefully kickstart some things for you guys. So in a couple minutes, we are going to be ready to go. Let us know who's all here. In the meantime, I'll give you a few minutes to kind of pull up a chair, make yourself some coffee before we get started. Please send through some nutrition questions, anything you feel like kind of covering, and we can chat for a few minutes before we roll. All right, who's all here? It's a cold day here in Cape Town today. We're having a few technical nightmares. I popped out to get some ingredients and got back to a flooded kitchen, which is why I'm not by the stove. I found another nook to shoot this from. Between that and the rain and the cold weather and a few technical bugs, we've at least kind of we've got something. We've put it together for you guys. Kim, hello, Kim Ketley. Nice to have you here with us. Nicole, looking forward to this. Nice, we've got a few regulars already on board. Catherine Hermans, Catherine and Rafe are here. Nice to see you guys with us, as always. Tanya, hello. Larissa Liebenberg, thanks for joining us. Megan James, made it just in time to join. This one's easier than our cook together tomorrow night. You guys don't have to do anything. So I'll do all the hard work, but tomorrow, hopefully you guys are going to be with us. All right, it's cold and wet in Durban as well. Yes, it is. I think the cold front has hit all up the coast. So we're all struggling a little bit. We had some hail here in Cape Town last night, but like I said, didn't get much sleep. Adele Rudder, hello. Nina van Heerden. There's a question there about chia seeds. Let me go back to it. Can you incorporate chia seeds into meals? Do you mean into this one, Jody, or in general? So I'll kind of recap on when we're building meals, what are the things that we're trying to look at, and chia seeds will fit into that perfectly. They're a nice source of fiber, fat, a little bit of protein. So one of the plant sources of omega-3 fats, so they're a nice option to incorporate. Actually, one of my breakfast options, so last week we weren't able to run through it, but I think next week we'll roll out the breakfast one again, and we'll do a lovely little chia pudding and some overnight oats as one option, and show you a chia breakfast pudding as the other. Delicious. Michael wants to know if you can use Wednesday's cook recipe as a one-on-one program. Definitely. So all of our sort of both the Jeff Ed and the cook togethers on a Wednesday night are aimed at not only our Jeff Together and our Jeff members, but specifically our one-on-one program. So obviously there it's just about getting your portions right. So I'll talk you through how you get those right. Everyone's plan's a little bit different. But Wednesdays, or tomorrow night's fish on papillote. Beautiful source of protein that's going to give you the protein in the meal, and the veg that we're going to accompany that with. So most of our plans are lower carb at night, so it's going to suit that perfectly. Minnie Creek, hello. Thanks for joining us. Four Ways is cold as well. I think it's all over the country. Tamara Macmillan, how are you doing? So Jody wants to know the chia seeds in general. Cool. So let's start there, guys, and it's a theme that you'll always see with the dinners that we put out and the cook-togethers in these lunch and these Jeff Ed sessions. The three things that are always combined to have a complete meal, complete snack: protein, fiber, and fat. Those, I think, are the three components that when you're building a meal, when you're building a recipe, when you're creating a weekly menu, those are always the three things that you want to look at ticking off. So protein, it might be vegetable or animal based. Make sure it's the basis of everything. I do think every meal and every snack should have that there. Our fiber choice might be higher or lower carbohydrate depending on your needs. So it could be a grain or a cereal or a fruit or a starchy veg, or your fiber might come from some non-starchy veg, salad and non-starchy cooked veg. And then your fat component, nuts and seeds, avocado, any cooking oil or dressing, that's where that would come from. So your chia seeds would fit in perfectly there to kind of balance out a meal where otherwise there might not be any fat in it. You can get it from your chia seeds, similarly from other things as well. So I'll show you that chia pudding in one of these cookies. Fantastic little breakfast, very, very nice. Right, family's pulling in here. Hello Francis, hello Mother Bear. Nikki's here, hello Nikki. Aiden Smith, Coach Ryan is in the house. Right guys, so might as well get started and talk you through an idea that we're going to run through today, which is using, I'm going to pop it in this camera on the side, some lovely rice wrappers, just to make some easy go-to lunch or snack ideas. The beautiful thing about them, they're pretty easy to work with. You buy a bunch of them, you can stick them in the cupboard for a while, they've got a nice long shelf life. And all you need to do is pop them in some warm water for a couple of seconds, get them nice and malleable, fill them with whatever you want. They're quite low in calories. Each one of these is about 5 grams of carbohydrate. Not a whole lot else going on there, it's just rice flour that they've kind of made into that disc. So for our one-on-one programs, about 3 of those would equal your 1 starch portion. So if you need 1 starch portion in lunch, 3 spring rolls would be perfect. If you need 2, 6 is great. Also for a snack, so in place of either your fruit or starch, if it's in your snack plan, 3 of those would equal 1 portion. So you can get a nice little base from that and fill it nicely with our protein, fiber and fat. Simple. Okay. So to make these, we'll soak those in some water for 20 seconds and then we're going to fill it up. I'm just going to show you 2 options. One, actually is using some leftover chicken dinner last night, and the other's a vegetarian one. I'll run through some of the ingredients we got going here. But to start with, every rice wrapper, so every sort of, this is a fresh spring roll, goes nicely with the dressing. And our source of fat here is going to be a beautiful dressing that I'm going to show you. And what's great about this is it's so versatile. You're going to have a healthy fat that you can pop into your fridge and drizzle it over some veg when you want to cook it. Brussels sprouts goes really nicely with this for people who don't really like them. You can roast some cauliflower with this dressing. It's a nut based, and you just get the consistency based on what you want to use. Okay, so me and my mason jars, I love them, so I'm just going to do it in here because it's going to be super easy. First ingredient is going to be some peanut butter. You can use almond butter. So essentially this is our fat portion that's contributing to that. We're going to have 1/3 of a cup of peanut butter. It'll go into whatever you're going to mix it in. I have 2 tablespoons of honey. So just a little bit of sweetness in there. Then I've got a tablespoon of sesame oil. Very strong flavor, but a flavor I really like. If you don't want that, you can use a different kind of oil. You can use an unflavored oil if you want. But sesame oil obviously works with the nut base we're going here. I've got 2 tablespoons of lime juice. Okay, that's the basis of it. You can flavor it with whatever you sort of want. Some crushed garlic will go in there nicely. In this, I'm going to spice it up and use a little sriracha. So, got my sriracha sauce, and we're going to put in about 1/2 tablespoon of that. So that's just the flavor component, and we're almost ready to shake them up. And we'll just add a little bit of water to get the desired consistency. So if you want it thicker, you'll just add a little bit less. Just drizzle it in kind of bit by bit until, okay, so I like a mason jar. It's going to be, as long as we tighten it, we're getting our dipping sauce. Just give it a good shake until the peanut butter kind of all dissolves in there and all the goodness and flavors together. So that is a beautiful little dipping sauce. Where's my camera? Fantastic. So our spring rolls are just going to go into there. But obviously what we don't use, we can just stick in the fridge and maybe some veg through the week. We'll roast some veg in it, do something quite lekker. Just want to taste it, make sure it's right. Oh, nice little bite from the sriracha. Get all the acid from the lemon juice, fantastic, so it works super well. You can flavour it with anything, use any nut butter that you want. Make sure you've either got some lime juice or some vinegar. There's the acid in there. The fat will come from the peanut butter and a little bit of oil if you want, and then you can ramp it up with flavour. So mine's sriracha, but if you want to do some garlic, that'd be quite a good one, some chili in there. You can play around with it a little bit. So that's ready to go for our spring rolls to dip once they're done. Okay, so we're going to get onto the spring rolls. We've got our sheet, and I've got here just a tray of warm water, and all I'm going to do is kind of rehydrate them for 20 seconds. So pop them in the water, bring this in front of the other camera, and we just let that soak for 20 seconds. Okay, so you don't want it to get too sort of gloopy. The hotter the water, the quicker it will go. So my trial one a little earlier was on some boiling water and it went very quickly. And all we're going to do after a couple of seconds, I've got a kitchen towel and I'm going to put the sort of rehydrated one back on there. And then we're going to load it up and fill it. Okay. While that's soaking, let's just catch up on a couple questions here. Kareem loves the apron, of course, Master Jeff. We've still got some in the pipeline, so hopefully soon on the swag on the site will be there. Kim wants to know where to get rice wrappers from. So you should be able to find it in kind of Spar, normally sort of the aisles where they keep all of their Eastern things. So it's a dried product. I've got a great little Chinese food store that I always pop into. I got my tofu for our recipe the other day from their lovely smoked tofu. This is great. I picked up another awesome thing I'm going to chat you through. Is some dried seaweed. So super nutritious option, and it's going to give us a nice flavour and a nice texture in this. Okay. So our rice wrapper is done. It's good consistency. Just rehydrated, and I'm going to get some of the excess water off by sticking them on the towel. Okay, so it's on there, and what I'm going to do, first thing I'm going to stick on there are two of these lovely little dried seaweed. So seaweed's great, very high in fibre. So as I'm building this, I'm always thinking to myself, right, is there some fiber in here? Is there some protein? And is there some healthy fat? So that seaweed, very good source of fiber, good source of iodine, which we don't often get in the diet apart from sort of salt, fortified salt in South Africa. So it's a nice way to get that in, to get some fiber, pretty nutrient dense food with very little calories. So it's pretty cool. You can get some of the dried stuff. Add some texture to some salads. In this case, we're doing it in the spring roll. It also adds a nice sort of umami flavor to our food. So it's a nice different component in there. All right, so we've got that in. I've got some leftover pulled chicken from last night. It's chicken, pak choy, and it was cooked in a little bit of coconut milk, light coconut milk last night. So whatever you have for leftovers, you can always think, well, let me carry a little bit over for lunch tomorrow. And instead of just doing the normal boring salad or whatever it is, you can make it look a little bit cooler in here. So we've put some filling on the bottom third of our rice paper. You might not see it on the towel, but that's where it starts. So this is the bottom half. I've got a little bit of extra veg. This is just some slaw. And stick on there. Okay. And now you just roll it up. So you take the last little bit of it, tuck it all in there, roll it over, and then bring the sides up. You don't have any veg sticking out. And keep rolling. Okay. It should stick together quite nicely. Give you our finished product over there. So we've got our lovely slaw, we've got the chicken, we've got the dried seaweed. I'm out of shot. There we go. And those are great. So done, one roll, protein based. Do 3 of those and you've got a good sort of easy lunch or even a snack. You might need 6 if you're on a slightly bigger plan or need a little bit more. What's cool about them, you can also do them the night before, the day before. If you want to, stick them in the steamer for sort of 40 seconds to heat them up. You can also have something warm, so it doesn't have to be cold. Obviously a bit cold outside. So if you want to reheat them, either in the steamer, you can pop it in the microwave for about 20 seconds, just turn it over. Might not heat as nicely, it might give you a little bit more of a gooey texture once you're done, but you know, if you're stuck for time and you want to boil some water and steam something over, just stick it in the microwave. At least you've got something warmer on a winter's day. Okay, so super easy. That was our protein-based one. My next wrapper is busy soaking. I've just stuck it in, so I'll give it a few seconds. Catch up with you guys quickly. How's everyone today? Everyone's saying hello. Coach Jade is here. Candice, how's it going? Nikki, I will share the recipe, definitely. There's lots of exciting stuff happening in the nutrition space at Jeff at the moment, guys. So for all of you who've caught up on the launch of our members app, super exciting. You're going to be able to track so much rad stuff, access all of these classes. It's for all of our members at £200 a month. So if you haven't signed up and you're watching this, I'm looking at you. Head on over, go sign up, because we're going to be kind of closing it off for all of our Jeff members, and you're going to access the cool content. So these classes, we're going to share some cool recipes in there. Obviously our Wednesday cooks are all going to be in there, and you're going to have access to every class. So I will share that, Nikki, definitely. Obviously for our one-on-ones as well, we're developing loads more in the nutrition space. So there are going to be some recipes coming your guys' way, some cool tracking tools and all sorts of things. So it's going to be fun. And all of this is because it's what you guys are asking for. So keep it coming. If you've got requests, if you've got things you want to see, you want to get us doing something, let me know. Kim Ketley has just wrapped up the ingredients of the sauce. You're a legend. Thank you. So it's 1/3 of a cup nut butter, 2 tablespoons honey, tablespoon of oil of choice. I used sesame, and then about 1/2 tablespoon of sriracha with 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. You use vinegar as well. A little rice vinegar would be quite nice. And shake it up. Simone says, will you stock them? Good. Bernadette wants to know the one-on-one program has food groups that we may eat from any specific portion. So the rice wrappers for our one-on-one program falls into your starch portion. So where you might see bread or wraps or your cereals or your fruit or anything like that. And 3 rice wrappers would equal 1 starch portion. And so to equate it to a wrap, out of interest, about 6 rice wrappers are 1 wrap. And so you can get a lot more bang for your buck, get a lot more filling to give you a more balanced meal if you're using maybe a rice wrap instead of a normal wrap, which is cool. Michelle, hello team. Yeah, everyone's already answering that for me. You guys are awesome. You're all on it. Larissa, can you substitute? Yeah, the seaweed, I saw it when I was picking up the rice wrappers, which is why I was like, that's awesome. I'm going to pop those in for an idea. But remember what we're doing here: protein, fiber, fat. So in this case, the fiber is just coming from our non-starchy veg. So use anything. I've got the slaw there for some extra non-starchy veg. You can do some bean sprouts, which will be quite lekker and give you some texture. Some radishes work really well, things that you don't really have to cook or worry too much about. Any of your green leaves will work as well, it doesn't have to be dried. Just a nice way to get a bit more nutrition into the wrap. Okay, cool. Can you use tuna in the wrap? Definitely. So again, protein, whatever you want to use. You can do some fish, you can do some meat, you can do some chicken. This next one, I'm going to do some cottage cheese, which could go two ways. You could either use it, some of our snack examples on the one-on-one uses cottage cheese. So just to vary it up and not keep it too boring. You can do that. It would fit for a meal as well. So I'm going to build it up fairly similarly to make use of all the seaweed that I bought. I'm going to pop it in there again. But if you don't, maybe some baby spinach would work quite nicely here. I've got my wrapper. Going to stick 2 of those down, and I'm going to put the cottage cheese on that. So it'll be vegetarian. You could also fill this with some tofu or tempeh. Would be quite nice. Just bake it off and cook it in advance, and then you've got a good protein-rich option there. So again, it could work as a snack. You could do some edamame beans in there. You could do some chickpeas for a bit of texture. You can play around with it. All of those would be cool. I'm going to use a little bit of my slaw again because it works nicely. And I chopped up some cucumber. Okay, so we've got loads of fiber in here from all the different veg options. We've got our protein from the cottage cheese and the delicious dip that we made a little bit earlier. Okay, and we pull the front side over and wrap it. We're going to be doing a lot of folding this week, so tomorrow night's fish on puppy art. I've got to show you guys how we are going to fold a little parchment paper for our fish to cook in, or our beans if you're using beans instead. Okay, so we've got our vegetarian one. Lovely, super easy. What's quite nice is that it'll carry quite well if you're out for the day. If you're in the car, you can stick it in your lunchbox. Super simple. Make a couple of them. It literally, apart from the 20 seconds it took me to rehydrate them, they're quick and easy. You roll, you can stick some leftovers in, whatever. All of these things are typically kicking around the fridge. You can pop them in, make a big batch because they'll carry over tomorrow. If you want to reheat them, a quick steam or a few seconds in the microwave will be sorted, and you're golden. So it's a nice, easy way to kind of sort out your lunch with things that should be on hand. John wants to know, is the rice wrapper a safe option for a type 2 diabetic? Yeah, so depending on your sort of carbohydrate load for the day, I don't know if you're on insulin or anything, but depending on how much carb you need in the day, this would be fine because one rice wrapper is 5 grams, so the glycemic load of it's pretty low. Again, most of our blood sugar control comes down to portion control, so make sure it just fits in with your required portions, but nothing wrong with it. Just get your portions right. Taryn loves cheese. Awesome. So we can use that. We can use ricotta. Don't know if you guys saw Bertus's cook together last week with the ricotta gnudi. Fantastic. It's such a super dish. Nice way for us to get some good quality protein from a dairy source, which is fantastic. Right, off to Spa. These look delicious. They do. Cool. Let's see. Any other questions coming in? Nice healthy lunch. What's in the dip, Georgie? Okay, let me recap everything we've been through. So the dip is our fat source in the meal. Okay, so what went into there was 1/3 of a cup peanut butter. You can use any nut butter that you like, and whatever flavor you're looking for. If you're looking for a different quality fat, an almond nut butter would be cool as well. And we've then got 2 tablespoons of honey, 2 tablespoons of lime juice. You can swap both the honey for another sweetener if you want. If you want to keep it sugar-free, that's cool. It'll keep the calories down. You can use some maple syrup if you want. You can use a little bit of stevia if you want, just for a bit of sweetness without the calories. And the acid in this case comes from the lime juice, but you can use some vinegar. So we've got some fat, some sort of sticky stuff, sweetness, and some acid, and then flavor. So I've got some sriracha. I used half a tablespoon of sriracha sauce, and that went in there, and a little bit of sesame oil for the flavor. So that's all in there. Whisk it together. If you've got a mason jar, give it a good shake around. A little bit of water to get to the consistency that you want. So you can use that as a salad dressing, add a little bit more water, and then it'll pour quite nicely. Or if you want to use it as a dip, you leave it a little bit more sticky. Put it in the fridge, it'll go quite nicely. It'll stay sort of super, and you can roast off some veg, you can add some flavor for a few different things through the week. Lovely. Kim wants to know, is the cottage cheese fat-free or low-fat? This one is low-fat. It's based on your goals and your choice. Obviously the low-fat one, slightly more protein, just relatively speaking. So it all just depends. If you want to be a bit stricter and get more of a lean protein, you'll go for the fat-free version of it, because we're getting fat elsewhere in the meal. All right, Leslie, it does look delicious. It smells pretty good, and I'm actually just hungry kind of speaking about it. So as soon as we're off, I know it's for lunch. Nicole's making Bastis's dish tonight. It's lovely. It really is nice. Post a pic for us. I want to see what that looks like. Kelly wants to know, when is cheese a fat and when is it a protein? So in our one-on-one programs, and also in typical sort of general, the cheeses I'd use for their protein content, so as a protein source in a meal, would really only be ricotta or cottage cheese. They're just higher in protein contents than the others. Parmesan kind of there as well, but you're not really going to eat sort of copious amounts of it. So you want a good portion of something, go with ricotta or go with cottage cheese for a protein source. Your other cheeses will then all fall into kind of using as a fat. So things like a cheddar or a Gouda or a creamed cheese, or any of those feta and things. Some of your low-fat fetas, you could maybe get away with being more of a protein source, but don't get too technical. So try use the sort of liquidy, sort of soft white ones, so your ricotta and cottage cheese as a protein, and everything else as a fat option. Okay. All right, see. Nice, lots of questions. Cool, pleasure. Coaches are all in the house, which is fantastic. Where can we find the recipes for the weekly cooks? So as soon as the app launches, they're all going to be there nicely for you. You'll have a link to each of the videos that we've got, and all the recipes, ingredients, methods. When we first started with the cook-togethers, we didn't send out the methods that were in the videos, and we always send them afterwards. But now for all of our members who sign up, it's going to be in the app, and we're going to have them all there for you guys. And obviously, as that database grows, the more and more you'll have. All right, cool. Any other questions? We've got another minute or two before my hunger takes over, and I'll have a quick snack for lunch. But I hope you guys enjoyed that. Quick recap: we had a lovely little sauce that we made. That is a peanut butter dipping sauce. Fantastic. Something that's going to go in the fridge for anything I don't use now as my dip. And we've got two very easy spring rolls, fresh spring rolls, not the deep fried kind of version. That'll be lunch. One's an animal-based protein option. I used some leftover chicken from last night. You could use any protein in there that you want, along with your source of fiber, any type of vegetable that you want. And then the other is the sort of vegetarian version, using some cottage cheese with it instead. Super simple. I hope it gives you guys some ideas. You've got kind of the tool of it as a background. Play with it. Get your components in there. Play around with your portions to match whatever your goals or your plan needs. And looking forward to kind of doing a little bit more of this in this space. So next week, Wednesday, we'll most probably look at some breakfast ideas and something a little bit different. Got some snacks, all sorts of things lined up. Every week, Tuesday, guys, we're going to be doing this. So put it in the diary if you're finding it quite useful. And every Wednesday night, we've got our cook together. So tomorrow night, check out the page if you want to stock up on some ingredients there. We've got our fish on papillotes. If you want to do the vegetarian version, we're going to use some white beans, haricot beans. You could use some butter beans or something as well. And otherwise, I will see you tomorrow at 6:20, back in the MasterChef kitchen. It's been fun being with you guys again. Send through your suggestions and questions. Otherwise, I will see you all tomorrow night. Cheers, guys.